When Mars, the planet of action, desire, and raw kinetic energy, takes up residence in the fifth house of the natal chart, life is rarely a quiet affair. The fifth house is the traditional domain of Leo, the sphere of creativity, romance, children, and the pursuit of joy. When the fiery archetypal warrior of the zodiac enters this playground, the result is a personality that doesn't just have fun, they pursue it with the intensity of a hunt. The creative powerhouse. At its core, Mars in the fifth house represents a profound need for self-expression through action. These individuals do not reflect on art, they create it. There is a muscular quality to their creativity. Whether it's through physical performance, bold visual arts, or high-stakes entrepreneurship, they possess an inexhaustible drive to leave an imprint on the world. This placement often suggests a person who is highly competitive in their hobbies. They don't just play tennis for the exercise, they play to win. The fifth house is where we shine, and Mars ensures that this light is blinding, assertive, and perhaps a bit provocative. Romantic conquests and the thrill of the chase. In the realm of romance, Mars in the fifth house is the quintessential hunter. For these individuals, the spark isn't a soft glow, it's a forest fire. They are often attracted to the thrill of the chase more than the quietude of a settled relationship. Their approach to dating is direct, passionate, and occasionally impulsive. They wear their hearts on their sleeves, but those hearts are armored. There is a distinct playfulness here, but it's an active, high-energy play. They want a partner who can keep up with them, challenge them, and engage in the sparring that they often confuse with flirtation. The danger, of course, is a tendency toward drama. If the romance becomes too predictable, Mars may subconsciously stir up conflict just to feel the heat of the fire again. Parenting and the inner child. When it comes to children, Mars here suggests a parent who is deeply involved, protective, and perhaps a bit demanding. They are the coach parent, encouraging their children to be bold, independent, and physically active. They likely bond with their children through sports, games, and shared adventures. However, Mars can also bring friction. There may be power struggles with children as they grow older, particularly if the child possesses a strong will that mirrors the parent's own. On a psychological level, this placement indicates a very loud inner child. The individual may find it difficult to sit still or follow adult rules that feel too restrictive to their sense of play. Risks, athletics, and vitality. The fifth house also governs gambling and risk-taking. Mars here bestows a high tolerance for risk, sometimes bordering on recklessness. Whether it's financial speculation or extreme sports, there is a craving for the adrenaline rush that comes from putting something on the line. Physically, this is one of the best placements for an athlete. Mars provides the stamina and the competitive will to win necessary to excel in physical endeavors. The shadow side, ego and impulsivity. Every Mars placement has its heat, and in the fifth house, that heat can scorch. The shadow side of this position is an overinflated ego and a me-first attitude toward pleasure. Because they are so driven by their own desires, they may inadvertently steamroll the needs of others in their pursuit of a good time. There can also be a struggle with temper if they feel their creative vision is being stifled or if they lose a game they cared about. Ultimately, the journey for someone with Mars in the fifth house is about learning to channel that immense fire into productive outlets. When they learn to lead with their heart rather than just their ego, they become the ultimate joy-bringers, people whose courage and vitality inspire everyone around them to live a little more loudly. When Mars occupies the fifth house, the zodiac sign acts as the flavor of the fuel. It determines how that competitive, creative energy is expressed, whether it's a controlled burn or a sudden explosion. Fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. In fire signs, Mars is in its natural element. This is the supernova placement. There is an incredible amount of physical vitality and a desperate need to be the best. Aries, pure, unadulterated impulse. They start projects with massive heat but may struggle to finish them once the initial thrill fades. Leo, the ultimate performer. Here, Mars seeks drama, applause, and recognition. They are the kings and queens of the creative world. Sagittarius, the adventurer. For them, fun is a quest. They are drawn to philosophy, travel, and high-stakes gambling. Earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Earth slows Mars down, turning raw energy into tangible results. The creativity here is constructive and disciplined. Taurus, sensual and stubborn. They find pleasure in the arts, gardening, or anything that engages the senses, often possessing a slow and steady romantic style. Virgo, the craftsman. Mars here is channeled into perfectionism. They find joy in technical skill, hobbies that require precision, and helping others. Capricorn, the strategist. They treat their hobbies like a business. This is the architect of fun, building long-term creative legacies. Air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. In air, Mars moves into the intellectual and social realms. The drive is for mental stimulation rather than physical conquest. Gemini, the jack of all trades. They have 10 hobbies at once and flirt through witty banter and mind games. Libra, the aesthetic warrior. They are driven by beauty and partnership, though they may express Mars through passive aggression or fighting for social justice. Aquarius, the rebel. Their creativity is unconventional, avant-garde, or tech-oriented. They find pleasure in breaking the rules and being unique. Water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Water signs make Mars moody and intuitive. The energy is internal, fueled by deep emotional undercurrents. Cancer, the protective creator. Their energy is tied to the home and family. They are mama bears who fight fiercely for those they love. Scorpio, the most intense placement. This is all-or-nothing passion. Their creative and romantic lives are deep, private, and transformative. Pisces, the dreamer. Mars here is less about doing and more about feeling. They channel their energy into music, film, or spiritual pursuits, often acting as the star-crossed lover. While the natal placement of Mars in the 5th house is a permanent blueprint of your personality, the transit of Mars through this house is a temporary, high-octane visit that lasts roughly 6 to 8 weeks. When transit Mars enters this sector of your chart, it acts like a match struck in a room full of fireworks. It is a period of heightened pulse, sudden bursts of inspiration, and a relentless urge to move toward what makes you feel most alive. A surge in creative ambition. During this transit, your creative projects are no longer just ideas or someday plans. Mars demands immediate action. If you have been procrastinating on a painting, a manuscript, or a business venture, this transit provides the necessary adrenaline to push through blocks. However, this is marathon energy being spent in a sprint. You may find yourself working late into the night, fueled by a singular obsession. The key challenge during these weeks is managing your temper. If things don't manifest perfectly on the first try, Mars has little patience for the slow process of refinement. The romantic fever. In the sphere of romance, a Mars transit through the 5th house is famously known for the chase. If you are single, you may feel a sudden surge of confidence to approach someone you've admired from afar. Your flirting becomes more direct, more physical, and significantly more competitive. If you are in a relationship, this transit can go one of two ways. It either reignites the sexual spark and playfulness that may have grown dim, or it triggers ego-based arguments. Since the 5th house is where we want to be seen and adored, any perceived slight from a partner can feel like a direct attack on your worth, leading to brief but intense fireworks. High stakes and physicality. The 5th house governs the inner child, and Mars brings that child a megaphone and a pair of running shoes. You might find yourself more drawn to physical sports, dancing, or any activity that allows you to vent pent-up energy. There is also an increased appetite for risk. Whether it's an actual trip to a casino or a metaphorical roll of the dice in your career, you are more likely to bet on yourself during this window. While this can lead to massive wins, Mars can also be reckless. The transit encourages you to go big, sometimes forgetting to check if you have a safety net. Interaction with children. If you have children, this transit often marks a period where they are more active, demanding, or even rebellious. You may find yourself playing the role of the coach more intensely, pushing them toward excellence. Conversely, it can be a time of friction where your will clashes with theirs. It is a peak time for rough and tumble play, but it also requires a conscious effort to ensure that your assertive energy doesn't come across as overly domineering to the little ones in your life. The Mars Transit Strategy. Treat this 6-week window as a personal grand opening. Use the heat to launch projects, initiate dates, and move your body. If you feel irritation rising, remind yourself that it is simply unused fuel. The best way to survive a Mars transit in the 5th is to give that fire a fireplace, a specific, creative goal to burn toward, so it doesn't end up burning your house down. Subscribe, like, and share.